In this video I'm going to go over what I wear in the backcountry, from my hat all the way down to my shoes. The basis for it is a shirt like this, a synthetic shirt, synthetic being nylon or polyester, and these long pants, which are from Bass Pro. I think the brand is Worldwide Sportsman. This shirt is Orvis, but it doesn't really matter. As long as it's synthetic, it's definitely my preference. It's quick dry. These synthetics are hydrophobic, so they repel water as opposed to cotton, which absorbs it. Synthetics will stink, unlike something like merino wool, which doesn't retain odor. But in the summer, I much prefer these just because of the quick dry properties, and they're very durable as well. It may seem like a really hot option to wear long sleeve and long pants, but that covers me from sun, so I don't have to wear sunscreen. It covers me from mosquitoes and black flies, so I don't have to wear bug spray, which I don't use bug spray. And it covers you from all kinds of other things like ticks and leeches if you're wading in the water. It's just much harder to latch on when all your skin is covered. Some things like black flies and ticks, they could crawl up and under, but I get these a little extra long so that they're baggy, and there's a bit of extra material hugging my shoes, and I feel like it would be pretty hard for anything to crawl up there. I've never really had a problem with that, and I've never had a tick on me. We're very fortunate here on the North Shore of Superior. We're in a rare tick-free zone. It's very rare to find them anyway. And yeah, I've never had one on me, but even when I camped down south, I never found a tick on me. So who knows, one of them might have gotten away with it, but never that I found. This is not a technical garment. This is just a light hoodie. I just find it's nice to wear around camp. It's cotton, so that's what I mean by it's not technical. But it's just a little comfort thing to wear when I'm not sweating, or just to enjoy around camp. Something different to wear that's clean. This is probably my favorite garment of all. So many people have asked where I got this, and I don't know. The brand on it is GGS, and my aunt got it for me, probably from some boutique shop in Toronto where she lives, and it was a fantastic gift. I absolutely love it. It's so warm. It's lined with polyester and then thick wool on the exterior. Someone told me that there are some comparable ones for a really fair price actually on Etsy, so you can check that out. Some of the gear that we have, I put in our Amazon storefront, if it's available on Amazon, so you can check there if you're ever looking for our stuff. But something like that, like I've tried Googling it, can't even find it. So this is my rain jacket. It's the Marmot Minimalist, which was like the kind of, I'm always a value shopper. I've never paid for like the high-end stuff, but I hate stuff that I have to throw out in a year. I hate that more. I'd rather pay more for the brutally expensive stuff. But this is done pretty well. It's Gore-Tex, and it has been water resistant. It's taken a pretty good beating over the last 2 or 3 years. So I'd say I'm happy with it. I treat it occasionally, where is it? There it is, with Nick Wax. And you can treat any of your like stuff that you want to stay waterproof with this. You lay it down, you get this wet first. It sounds counterintuitive before you spray it, but it says to lay this flat while it's wet. And then you spray it down, and yeah, it just gets in, fills the holes, I guess, in the fabric and the seams and the fibers, and makes it really waterproof again. In colder conditions, I've got this Icebreaker Long John merino wool, and this, I'm not even sure what the brand is, I bought this so many years ago. It's held up really well. It was like $100. So were the pants, but yeah, merino wool base layer is fantastic if you're in cold conditions. I'll always wear this. And then a fleece hoodie. That's another part of my layering system, depending on temperatures. You'll rarely see me wearing my winter parka on trips, unless it's like at least -20. I don't even bring it. I just layer. It just gives you so much more flexibility, and you don't have this huge hulking parka to carry around, which often you don't even want on because you're active. You're hauling the sled, you're sawing wood, you're splitting wood with the axe. Like you're working up a lot of body heat, and the parka's too hot, and usually it's just off you. So I don't like bringing it, and I rarely do. My hat, I love this hat. I know, I guess Tilly has a reputation of being like a tree hugger kind of, I don't know, dorky brand maybe, but it's so functional. I really, this hat has changed my life almost. I used to have this ugly similar hat, but not as wide of a brim. And Erin, thank goodness she came along and she told me how ugly it was. And when she told me that, it was just like, oh my goodness, that is a really ugly hat, you know? Like, just one of those things you wore for practicality. If you're like me, you're just, sometimes you sacrifice practicality for almost anything. And yeah, it did the job, but it was a really ugly hat. This one's a bit nicer. It comes with a shoelace here that is the same color as this, like a olive, I think is what they call it. I replaced it with a black one so that there's a bit of contrast on the hat. On my trip with Joe last year, I lost the one that I really liked. It was Army Brown was the color, and it had like a black, the mesh here was black, and I just liked it a lot better, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I just went with this, the olive. This is the LTM6, by the way, by Tilly, which I think is still Canadian. It's definitely Canadian owned. Probably not Canadian made anymore. No. Designed in Canada, made in China. What a surprise. This is a little fleece hood. Just the hood portion. And I love this garment so much. My other aunt got this for me. And they've picked out some real winners. Just random, you know. They don't camp or anything. They've probably never thought about technical camping gear like I do. But they both got me some really great items. And this is just so nice to add warmth, especially because you can take it on and off so easily, unlike, you know, all kinds of layers. This one, it just hugs your neck and it keeps so much warmth in around here, and you can kind of stuff it down the front of your shirt and it prevents all that heat loss. If on windy days, cold windy days, I find so much cold air is just stripping heat away from me here, and it protects that. And I love wearing it to sleep too, so that's a great item. Getting down to the feet, typically I'll wear wool socks. These are Darn Toughs, which I'm still testing. I've tried a lot of expensive wool socks, and so far I don't think any that I'm overly happy with. So Darn Tough, it's your turn for a test. I also got these Fox Rivers at Brad Jennings' recommendation, and they are also undergoing testing. And I also got these waterproof socks from Showers Pass recently, and they're nice. They're kind of like an upgrade of neoprene, but they're really expensive. They're like $50 for one pair of socks. And they're not waterproof. If you go in deep enough for water to go over the top of the sock, then they're not waterproof. So I didn't really think about that. So that kind of detracts from their value for me, but it'll still be a nice wet sock to wear. I'll still use them. And then getting into my shoes, these are the Merrell Jungle Mocks. And I love these. This is my third pair of these. These are just my camp shoes. These are what I put on when I get to camp. They're not, like, sometimes a camp shoe is just so, unless they're perfect dry conditions, it's just not much use. In conditions like where we camp around here, where it's often still pretty thick bush, even where we're camping, and potentially wet, like these are pretty waterproof. This is what I like around camp. They're a little on the heavy side for a camp shoe, but they do the job. I used to use these Keen Newport water shoes, and I say used to because I don't use them anymore. They have some advantages, like they drain super well, they dry super well because they're wide open, right? But the thing I don't like about them, the stitching here I've found is prone to giving out, and once that goes, the shoe is pretty much done. The other thing is pebbles can get into all these holes. I found if I was wading through shallow streams or something, pebbles get in there and it's so uncomfortable. You get all these pebbles kicking around in your shoe. Yeah, I don't use them anymore. Not to mention, if you're sinking into mud, it's just not a very secure shoe because it just secures with this little cinching cord. and that's not enough to hold your shoe on against the gripping power of mud. So the next boot that I went to were these Keen Targhee 2s, mid-height, and they were fine, pretty good overall. The sole, I'd say, is wearing out kind of excessively in these little gaps, and I have put some like shoe goop in some corners to kind of prolong their life. But this fabric on the inside is extremely slow to dry. I really noticed this on our Quetico trip when Erin got her new boots, her Vasque St. Elias boots. Her boots were always dry in the morning and mine were still sopping wet. So these are waterproof on the exterior, only up to like here really. So in terms of waterproofness, I don't really like these, but especially the drying factor. They take forever to dry. And for some reason, I don't know if it's me, but the shoelaces on the Keens, they come undone non-stop. If I triple knot them, like no matter what I do, they come undone. So I've just upgraded these to the same ones that Erin got. These are hers actually, the Vasque St. Elias. And yeah, these were excellent for her, so that was a good proof for me that they're a good quality boot. And these are only a year old, so can't speak to them that much. But after Erin's boot fiasco, she spent enough money to get something decent. And so far, I would definitely say that they're decent. And I'm excited to have these this year. Erin also has these little Choda wading booties. So they'll waterproof you up to almost your knee. Put your foot right inside of it. The neoprene sock is built in, and then that goes right into your boot. And yeah, it'll keep you waterproof up to almost your knee. But I find often you'll go in water over your knee, and at that point they no longer function. But if you're into shallow stuff, then they are really nice. They did work really well on one trip last year. This is a wetsuit that we got from Mech. It's a 2-piece wetsuit, so I really don't like it. We wore it for safety sometimes on Superior, because Lake Superior is deadly cold. And this would not save your life if you dumped in open water. Just want to make that extremely clear. Like you would still be hypothermic if you were way offshore. But it would buy you some more time, and that's why we wore it, and that's why we bought it. It was just like an insurance policy, and then a vest as well. So it didn't even have arms. So really not great life-saving gear, but it would just buy us a bit more time. But I really don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I find this digs into your armpit, and it's not pleasant to paddle in. So I've abandoned that, and I just made my biggest gear apparel investment ever with a full dry suit. It's humongous. It looks like, I don't think I've ever had a one-piece anything before that covers my whole body, but this is the level 6 Chronos. I believe that's a new suit for them for 2021, and it's their entry-level suit, but it's still $800, which is a good price for a dry suit, a quality dry suit from a Canadian company, not made in Canada, but Canadian company, which is still worth something to me. I've heard they have really good service, so I'm confident that if anything goes wrong with the suit, then they're gonna help me out. It has latex gaskets in there, and it zips over the shoulder and then to the front. Some of them you have to like reach way around your back, and it seems really difficult. And given that I had to order this online because of COVID and I couldn't go try one on, I was hesitant to get one of those style dry suits because I'm often alone and I can't have someone else zip it up for me. I need to be able to do it myself. So that was one reason I got this. And as you can see, it's already muddy. I have tried it already and I really liked it. This is an XL, and in sizing, I'm always stuck between an XL and a large, and just it's the nature of being lanky. And the XL, I'm pretty happy with it. The feet are like clown feet size, but the material is actually not really bulky. It's not a neoprene bootie, so it still fit into my boot well, and I'm happy with it. I've not tested it enough yet to give much more than that, more than an initial reaction, but yeah, so far I like it. I also use these little rag wool gloves. Again, I'm from Mech, and I find they're very warm and comfortable, and they keep my fingers exposed for just dexterity and doing whatever I need to do. One more thing is the original bug jacket. It's our bug suit. If the bugs are really bad, then I will wear this. However, if the bugs are really bad, it's probably a warm day. It's summer, that's when the bugs are active here, of course. And this, I find, will make me really hot and overheat. So it's often I won't wear this because I'd rather feel free and have air running over my skin and just accept the bugs. People find that crazy sometimes, but I think if you get enough exposure to anything, you kind of normalize it, and that's somewhat happens for bugs for us. And I've noticed, I just took this out of storage and it has a few holes in it, which is disappointing in the mesh. I don't know how to sew that up or repair it. I guess, I don't know if a needle will hold through that, but anyway, I'm going to have to find a way to repair that. I have put it through some pretty rough bushwhacks, so I can't really say it's their fault. But yeah, I only got that, I think, a year ago, so that's a bit disappointing, but still an invaluable piece of kit when the bugs are really bad. That's it for apparel. On to the next one. One little follow-up about the bug shirt, which I seemed disappointed yesterday when I was recording this, how there's some holes in it. I have bushwhacked pretty rough stuff with this, and I looked on their website and they said you can just use duct tape on both sides, so that is exactly what I did, and it seemed like it'll do just fine, so that's not a big deal at all. Plus it's made in Canada, plus they said on their website that they'll offer free mesh. They'll ship it to you for free if you need to replace it, and you just have to sew it on yourself or pay to sew it on, and that's perfectly fair to me, so thumbs up.